Hey guys, I think we're live today again, and I'm joined today by Raul. How you doing?
Hi, George. I'm doing good. Hi, everyone else.
I think we have six folks right now live. Let's see if more people might join. As a quick reminder, let me move my screen. This is how things work. There is an ask a question button at the bottom of this UI. So click on ask a question if you have a question. Put your question there, and then we're going to take them one by one and try to help as many people as we can. So feel free to use the chat to introduce yourself and say hi. I know that, but ideally, if you have a question, specific question, put it in the ask a question box. That would be much easier for us. And once we're done with those questions, if we get through them all, we will just review everything that is in community.draftbit.com, where people can ask questions at any time, not even just during office hours. All right. Shall we get started? I just realized today that we are competing. Our live stream is competing against the Webflow No Code conference that's happening right now. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's even worse than that. I think we're competing against one of the keynote from Trevor Noah that is starting in 30-ish minutes. So it's tough to compete, but let's see what we can do. I'm going to share my screen and we can get started. For those who do not know about the Webflow No Code conference, it's an online conference that is happening yesterday and today. A bunch of folks talking about no code tools. There's a lot of stuff related to Webflow because Webflow organizes it. But there are other kind of aspect of no codes that are being discussed there. It's pretty cool. Check it out. I think. Actually, let me share my screen. I can show you around. Share screen. I'm just gonna do this. Okay, so here it is. Yes. Oop. Yeah, so you should see my screen now. I think if you type no code conf, it'll show up here. So yeah, if you're curious, have a look. It's kind of fun. That's it. That's all I'm going to talk about that right for now. All right, let's get started. Question number one. Hello. I'm just reading. I'm pretty new on Draftbit. Thanks for your job. It's amazing. Just a small questions. I tried to call Airtable API and I can't to connect the service except I put the API key in the endpoint. If I put as a variable, nothing worked. The problem that I can't use the dynamic filter from the Airtable API. Okay, so any suggestion to fix my problem? Thanks a lot. Loic is asking that. Hey, Loic. Oh, is Loic French? Loic, let us know if you're French. I will answer it the exact same way, but it's still fun for me to know. Okay, so there's two things. The first one is how do we handle the API key in our connection with Airtable? And that I'm going to show you around. That way it's be easier. The second part is how to do the filters, how to use the filter by formula in Airtable. And if I'm not mistaken, we did a demo of that 2 office hours ago, something like that. So I'm just gonna actually, Rahul, if you have a little bit of bandwidth on your side right now, if you can find that. Do you know what I'm talking about? That video where I think you were there, right? Did we demo it, or maybe I demoed it alone? I forgot. Anyway,
Sure.
see if you see
I
something in community, let me know, Raul. Otherwise, I'll search for it after the fact and we can share it. But my point was that I'm probably not going to cover the filter by formula here because we've already done it. But I'll do the first part. So let's get started with the first part. And Loic, feel free to let me know if that's the good direction I'm going right now. Okay, so create a new app. I'm going to create Airtable. Here it is. So I'm going to start a blank app. Start building. So in a different tab, I'm going to go to Airtable. and I'm going to create a new base that I'm also going to start from scratch. I'm going to call it test. That's it. Doesn't do much. Now in Airtable, if you look at the help menu, there's this API documentation available, and that tells you how to connect to your Airtable database from a client, from like a client like Draftbit. So essentially, what you want to do, you were right, by the way, to want to use the authorization header as opposed to the query parameter. That's the right way to do it, and that's what they're demonstrating here. So here's my, I'm going to set that service in Draftbit. That way we can go through the whole process. So I'm going to do a new REST API. I'm going to call it Airtable. And this is the link, the base URL that I want to use right here without, see, I'm not putting the table in there just yet because that's going to be the specific endpoint. The service is just the base URL that might contain more than one table. So I stop it here. And then, so that's where I'm going to put the header. And the header is called authorization. Exactly. And it's typically of the type, like it's bearer usually, and then your API key. So I'm going to, yeah, you know what? It's all right. I'm going to show it here. It's okay. We're all friends. So this is the API key. I'm going to call it bearer, and I'm going to put it here. So that's it. Now I can create that. Now I've like authenticated to the service. I need to create an endpoint specifically for that test table. I call it test. Yeah. Oh, table one. Yeah. That doesn't matter. Okay. So I'm going to call it. I guess the name of the base. Okay, never mind. So test get. I'm going to skip over that for now because this is a new feature. We're going to cover it maybe a different time. The path is the one thing I was missing in my service. So that's kind of the remaining of the URL. So that's what you want to be there. Yeah, I'm going to create a table. That'd be better. And then if you look at the header, you can see that the header we set up previously is there. So that's great. Hopefully that'll do the authentication for us. And that's it. When I test it, I get all my data. I can save it. Done. And then on my page, I can have like a fetch component. Fetch is a way to retrieve from a specific service at a specific endpoint all the data. And the data return is in a records array. So I need to iterate through it. So I need a list component and tell it to iterate through the records array, the one I was just looking at. And then in there, I can then show whatever I want. So, whatever variable you want to do, I'm going to show, I don't know. I don't even know what's in that table. Oh, there is nothing. So maybe for a better example, I'll put a couple of stuff in there. I don't need all those fields, but like maybe foo. Okay. So let's see now. Because that's actually a good thing for people to know. Because I essentially changed the schema of my backend, I have to go back to that fetch component and refresh it just to make sure it's getting the right data. Because we need to fetch the data on the Draftbit side to understand the schema, what it looks like. And we need to know what it looks like so we can, in the dropdown, tell you like what are the different fields. So if you do change the backend, just come back to the fetch, do a little refresh, and then everything should be showing up in this dropdown then. And here it is. That's my name. So I should see my foo, bar, and baz. Okay. So that answer, how do you use the API key for Airtable? I want to show one more thing though, is that typically, like the best practice is not quite to put your API key. Sorry, I'm going back to my service. The best practice is not necessarily to put your API key right there, but instead, what you might want to do, you don't have to, but what you might want to do is create a new app variable and call it Airtable authorization header in here, you can put it more like as a variable. Here we go. So now I've created that variable. I can use it everywhere in my app, including in the definition of my service. So it's just here. I'm going to do it. So I'm going to remove this one that I just added manually, and I'm going to do it the slightly better way. Authorization. Okay. And then here it is. See, that's the one, that's the variable I just added. So it's a little bit better. You know, kind of separation of concern a bit. You have all your like important secret and key in one place, and then your service just like reference them. So that's what we recommend you do, but you can do either way. That's it. And I see Rahul. Oh, thank you very much. You found the filter records on Airtable video. Oh, that's awesome. Let me bring that up so people can just.
Yep, I think you might want to skip ahead a little bit in the video.
We already we break it down by those specific timestamps. So yeah, have a look at that, and hopefully you'll see everything we do. So I'm going to turn off the sound, but you'll see everything we do with the filter and how we use it. And we use, it's actually, if I remember correctly, this one is pretty cool. See, it's a pretty long segment because we go through 2 or 3 different ways to handle your data from Airtable. So I highly recommend that. Thank you very much, Rahul, for sharing it. All right, done with this question. Hopefully, let us know. Next question. Getting a weird error is the post details in Draftbit community. And Carl asked that. Okay, let's bring up on screen. All right, I'm gonna try to pass that information. Rahul, do you have more knowledge about that before I get started?
I think this is the one that is related to what we discussed today. Like it seems to be an error with the Xano API because of a duplicate. I think it's content ID or comment ID. What is it called? That's why the user is having this problem.
Right. Trying to see. So yeah, the answer is, as Rahul said, like it seems to be a bug on our end. Our team of engineers are looking into it right now, as we discussed this very morning. Right. I'm trying to see if I can. Is there something helpful I can do to like reproduce or anything like that? Yeah, that's going to be tricky to reproduce. So we might leave that to just bug fix, unfortunately. Update. Yeah. Let us get back to you, Carl, on this one, because I think it's an issue on our end.
Yep. I think Carl just posted another comment in the question. I think he did try to do a bug fixing step there.
Oh, there is an. Oh, sorry, I missed the thread. I suspect there was something to do with common ID. Yeah, that's probably what it is. It's possible that you added the same variable twice while setting up in your Xano endpoint. Could be something like that. I deleted the edit comment post from Draftbit to see the work now. There is the same error for edit proof. Let's see where the fix. Okay. Oh yeah, so Brian already answered that. We're gonna try to address it. I kind of want to take a look at the app, but I don't want to just distract us for 20 minutes if we're not gonna be able to fix it live anyway. Yeah, I apologize, Carl. Let's put a pin on that, and if we have a little bit more time, we'll come back to that later. I'm a little bit worried. We're gonna get distracted. Sorry. All right. I've been having. Oh, here it is. I've been having a lot of trouble getting my app to build on Expo. It stopped working last Thursday, and I've been working with the Draftbit team to try and unblock myself. We're pretty sure it's because one of the package import having issues. Expo SDK 42 would appreciate some help debugging. And who's asking that? Ankit. Hey, Ankit. Our good friend Ankit. So that too, man, you guys are on top of it. There's a couple of things going on. Let me scan that thread quickly. Okay. So there's two things going on. First of all, we are in the process of upgrading to Expo SDK 43. And so we hope that that will fix a lot of those type of issue. Particularly those type of issue. When I say those type, I usually mean when you try to import not so much unsupported or non-supported packages, but just different version that might not work. So hopefully all of those, a good amount of those are going to go away. Now, I want to be fair, because I do believe that even though in our test of upgrading to SDK 43, I think we're still seeing your specific app and kit not being rendered properly. I could be wrong about that. I'm not the most up to date on that. But that too is something that it's an active thing that we're looking at right now. Peter, our CTO, is looking at what's going on with that as we speak. So I don't have an answer for you right now. I'm probably not going to be able to unblock you right now. Sorry, Ankit. But we'll keep you up to date in the thread. All right, it's 2 out of 2 of not being, or I guess 2 out of 3 of not being able to help the user. Doesn't feel great. Let's try to change that. Okay, next question. What is the way to get the index of the current item in a list? What is the way to get the index of the current item? If I use the list view to show a list of items, is there a way to fetch the index of the item? In this position, I couldn't. Another country. Yeah, so couple of things there. We don't have a built-in no-code, like visual way to tell you what the index, meaning the position in the list your item is at.
Right.
But two things. I would be curious to understand what you're trying to do, because most of the time, items being returned in a list have an ID associating to them. And so I'm wondering if you could use that ID, like the ID that's being returned by your backend. That would be the ideal thing to do, right? Now, maybe you have a different use case that obviously I don't know, that prevents you from doing that. If that's the case, and because we don't have a built-in way to do that, you could maybe rely on a custom fetch component. So, you can always create your own fetch component. It sounds scarier than it is, but the fetch is actually a pretty simple, not simple, but kind of a reasonable component. So you could create one and then use that ID. Do you have anything? What do you think, Raul?
Yeah, I think that's the only way right now that we have. We don't expose the index as one of the variables. But as you said, like this is really easy to accomplish in custom code. Like you can pass the indexes from there. The other idea you had, like you can expose those IDs that you fetch from the backend, seems like a legitimate idea. And maybe if you can run a small custom function with it on it, that will just return maybe just the last part of that ID rather than having the entire ID exposed. But I'm not sure that would result in what John wants here. That would be like 1, 2, 3. But that's a good valid point to bring in. Like if that is something that we can do from our end, as John posted that the flat list component does expose the index, but I think we don't have it mapped right now to showcase in the variables that we show once you map the list. So, yeah.
All right, sounds good. And John said the item ID is not the use case. I would argue that the item ID is not the ask, but we don't quite know what the use case is. At least I don't. So that's, yeah, if there might be a different way to do it if we understand the higher level goal that Ankit has. In the absence of that, the 2 or 3 things we suggested are the way to go for now. All right. Next up. Do you want to take it, Rahul, by the way? Can you see the question?
Yeah, I can see the question. It's from Arturo. Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, go for it.
Sure.
I'll try to do less of a one-man show here, giving you some
Sure,
time.
sure. So the question is, how do we go about a very complex screen with several layers of API payloads? Are there a suggested amount of Draftbit fetch APIs components we should not go past on a screen? I mean, I think he wants to know if there's a limited amount of fetch components that we can use on a screen. And the rest of the question is, imagine a screen with comments API request, a membership API request, auth get me API request, and for the sake of this example, a weather API request. Should more complex screens instead be constructed in a backend like Xano, for example, or create one combo API that links all the database examples? That's a good question.
Yeah, do you want to answer that, or should I? Either way.
Uh, like usually the best practice would be like, try to get least amount of fetch calls on your screen, because that's how, in order to make your screens more responsive, the best idea would be having a backend designed in a way that you need to make one fetch call or maybe two fetch calls on the screen. As you said, like, there could be one fetch call that fetches the comments, and the other fetch call is to an API endpoint that exposes all those variables that you want to show on the screen, just as a best practice. But I'm not aware if there is a limit that we set on the number of fetch components we have on the screen. If you have more information on that, George, then I don't think there's a limit, right, of the number of fetch components we are allowed to use on a screen.
Right. So there is no technical limitation. Of course, as soon as you start to have like 3+, you're going to start to feel it in your performance. I would argue that not only is best practice, as you said, not to have more than a couple, but it's also, think of it from the user expect. If your screen does like 50, not 50 is extreme, but even like 10 fetch, it might be that your screen is also doing a ton of stuff for the user. So that's, in a mobile world where you have like small real estate, that might not be ideal. So I would encourage you think of user experience. Now, if it's more a matter of like you're doing something quote unquote simple on the app, but you have to do multiple API call to put it together, then I think what Raul said and what you hinted at out is that you pretty want your backend to handle most of that. And in Xano, because you mentioned Xano, there is a way to add on to your API response. So this is typically a great way to add more information to whatever the response is from Xano. So I've been using that a lot myself. It's pretty sweet the way that lets you add those, extend the JSON object that's being returned. So highly recommend you look into that. Otherwise do your best to keep it under I don't know, 2 or 3, maybe 4 fetch component.
Right.
All right. So I gotta point out, because John is making it sound like we don't read the comments in the chat, which is not true. So we do read them. It's not we can't guarantee we read everything. This is a live show, so we do our best. Be gentle with us. I do see your answer to the use case. I appreciate what you're trying to do. You essentially have a list and you want to put a little 1 and 2 and 3 in front of it. So that's fair. Thanks for providing that context. The answer is the same that we had before, though. All right. I think we feel free to add more questions here. But in the meantime, we're gonna move to the community site and go to our Ask for Help section and try to look at some of those questions. So get index, that's the one we just discussed. I'm gonna pass it. The toggle button, this is an ongoing bug that John and I have already discussed. So we're gonna work on a fix for that. Argument error cache, it's also the one we discussed at the very beginning of this live stream. I think this one is also a bug that we are aware of and working on. Let me confirm that. That's the text area, right? Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think, yeah, Brian already responded to it. So those are issues that we're aware of. Let's see if we go a little further. I think John brought that to my attention yesterday. So Pete is trying to do the submenu. Let's just make sure nobody in our team. Oh, you already responded, right?
Yep.
Submenu.
So I gave them an idea of how you can do this with global variables.
Got it.
John, to your question that you asked there, maybe I can give you a live reply here. Is like you can add like another view or maybe a divider or anything you like under the button, and then you can conditionally display that with the screen. So you can have a conditional display on it, which would say, okay, show it only when say the red in context of my example. So if you're clicking on the first navigation button, you can have a view or divider or anything under the button, just like how you see on most of the websites that there's an underline that happens like comes up across the button once you are used, like once you're that's the active button. So you
Mm-hmm.
can use that with the same conditional display, the how I'm showing the views. I hope that answers your question there. If you have more questions about it, I will definitely respond to your question here as well, and maybe edit my video and give you a better use case for that as well.
Where did you put the video?
The video is here. So John also said that this is, so if you read through my comment there, it says you can take a look at the video here. So here is the link. But
Oh,
for,
geez.
but
Oh
for
man,
some reason,
Circle. You gotta do, not you, but Circle is to be a better job at showing those links. I didn't realize that was a link. That's
yeah,
awesome.
exactly. I didn't recognize John that, it doesn't pop up as a link. But like there's a small video that shows, how you can use those. So if you're explaining it live, I can do that as well. So I basically have three buttons which correspond to your submenu items. Like you can have anything there, right? Right now I'm just using a button, but you can
Mm-hmm.
use anything there. Like you can use text with a touchable on it to design it the way you like. And then what happens is like I have conditional display set up. So this is how you can have your submenus on the same screen without without the need of going to another screen. I
Yeah.
also have I also have something like this for fetch calls. I think there are a couple of questions on the community about that. There is a video that I posted to a user, but I haven't really put that on the community yet. If anyone
Okay.
has a use case of having a custom fetch call, I have a video ready for that as well. So if anyone wants that, I can share them with them as well.
That's awesome. I didn't know you made that video. That's really cool. So I guess that answers it. All right, really good work. Um, okay, cool.
Uh,
Moving on. Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, thanks, Art. I just reading the comments that are being posted live. So, John, we do pay attention to those comments as well. Sometimes, it's hard on the live stream. But thank you, Arturo. Appreciate it.
All right. Oh, this one is resolved. Link to YouTube does not work on Android device. Did we cover that? Oh, you responded to that.
Uh, I did respond to that, but that's not a complete solution for it. I think there's like if you make changes to your phone settings, it does work, but usually people have it on automatic. Like, if you click on a YouTube video link, it should automatically open the YouTube app. But my temporary solution for that was like if you just do an ask rather than automatic, it comes up, gives you an option of going to YouTube, and it works on the Android phones as expected. But again, that's not a definite answer because I'm sure not a lot of people would do that change.
What is that setting? The always ask rather than in this app. What are you
So it's
referring to?
it's the default app. So like in your Android phones, you have an option of having a default app to do certain tasks, right? How we
Oh,
have
it's
a
on.
default
Okay,
browser.
but
So
so
it's
it's on
related to that.
the Android device. It's not on the Draftbit side, right?
Right.
Okay. Uh, did you does not work? I'm still. Did you figure out like what she meant by does not work? It did not open up. I'm still trying to wrap
Yeah.
my head around.
Yeah. So the option does not work on all Android phones, as she says. Like she in her app, she has a button that you click and you can, watch the YouTube video. Those buttons work fine on iOS, but don't work on certain Android devices because of this situation that Android has in itself. That it doesn't open the default app.
But is it that when you open an app, sorry, when you open a link, if I open a link to, let's give that a try. I apologize. I know you're further than me on that. I'm just catching up here. Um, so if I have a button that goes to, well, I guess, button
A YouTube
solid,
link.
right? So let's see. Open browser. So now if I have a, let's take our, so where is our where is our Draftbit video? All right, never mind. Let me put any video. Doesn't matter. The URL, okay. Does it work? Just making sure. Yes. So if I put that here and preview,
John and Arturo, you're both right. I think the best practice usually is to keep the user in the same application.
so you guys might not have seen, but as I clicked on it, because I don't think my full screen is shared, but a pop-up opened, so I was able to do that. So this is not our issue, right? It's not like she can open a YouTube link, correct?
Can you try that by going to the Android preview? I think that would be slightly different.
Okay. Yes, I'm going to try that. This is a YouTube link. Okay, let's do preview. And I'm gonna unshare and share my screen for just a sec so you can see my whole desktop. That'd be easier for people. All right, so this is my whole desktop. This is the YouTube. Okay, so if I try web, oh, wait, it did work. Where did it go? Oh, it went here. So that opened up. If I try iOS, it opened the browser to the YouTube page. And if I try on Android, it opened up. Well, that's something else that I don't care about, but it opened up. Okay, the app. Essentially, I just have to update it. Okay, that's a different thing. So a link worked. So did she want to do something else than that? Did she want a web view? Is that what was going on?
I think what's happening is like it works here, like it works on our screens, but the problem happens when the user is actually using their device.
Got it. I'm
So
gonna go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So like on iOS, it's gonna work. On Android is when like I don't know if I can share my screen, but now I can. Excuse me. So
I'm trying it on my Android phone, and let's see what happened. It opened up the YouTube app, and it's now playing. Um, so I feel like the link works, but where is the question again? Link to YouTube does not work on Android. Maybe it's a different Android device.
yeah, maybe it doesn't work on all of them. It, as you said, like it works on like some of them, and some of them it doesn't work. It wasn't working on my phone, so that's what I tried to do. And once I changed that setting, it started working on my phone as well.
Okay. All right. Well, it's good to know. While we at there, where we at it, and just explore a little bit around that use case. So, what if you have a web view and you give it that? Let me take that URL again. Actually, a different URL, but it doesn't matter. So, web view, I think we might run into. It might work here in web, but I bet we're running into some cause issue as we try. Yeah, see, it's not working. It's working in draft mode, but I don't think it's going to be working. I don't think you can just like essentially like encapsulate the YouTube video in there. Let's see. Ooh, what am I looking at? Okay. Yeah, so that doesn't work. We're running into some issues. That's kind of yeah, I didn't quite expect that to be working, nor do I think that's a recommended way to do it anyway. That's it. We're running into that cross issue. So yeah, you might not want to. Um, Let me rephrase that. The draft mode is gonna probably work because I think we proxy those. I'm not 100% sure. I think the web preview is not gonna work because you're gonna run into a like some privacy limitation trying to embed a different website into your app. But the iOS and Android version should work because you don't have cause issue for those. So as you can see here, like the video seems to be working, which is pretty fun. So that's one other way. Now, there's the third thing I wanted to explore, and it's the okay. Let me. This one is. What was the action on this one again? It was open browser. I want to try something else. And I'll stop after that because I know I'm just using this time now to like explore stuff. But
George,
yeah,
just so that all the users can see, can you like maximize your screen?
yeah, I can do this, and I'm gonna make that bigger like this. Hopefully.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
perfect.
so this one is open browser. I want to show a test. There is a different type of action that is called not open browser, but open app link. And I want to see what we can do with that. Oh, sorry, let me refresh that quick. Okay, open app link. Oh, all right. And this one, what if I do? So now an app link is something like um, where where you put the scheme of the application. So let's see if I can find some a good example. um, I think the Expo linking is a better might be a good place to find some example. So you see how typically your link is like https or http, but you can also have a direct link to a direct app. And so those are example like mail to, tell, SMS, and http. So I can do something like Oh, where did I go? Here. I can do something like mail to. Actually, forgetting if it. Right, just like this. Sorry, I'm moving on. Mail to draftbit.com. And if I do this, then open. I think I'm just changing the label so it's a little clearer. Okay, so now if I use that link, I'm expecting it. I don't know if you're working well. Yeah, it did. So again, I don't know if you guys can see my screen really popped up my mail client. So same if you use it on your app, it's going to pop up whatever default mail clients you have. But the cool thing with that is you can do, I believe, things like whatever the scheme for YouTube is. So I'm just not sure I'll be able to find an example, but YouTube scheme link. See if I can find an example of what that link might be. There are only 3 schemes available, so that's the one. Okay, so I'm in the right direction, but I want an actual. How do I go after that? Oh, this works fine. Okay. Yeah. Do you think that works?
Yeah, that's what I'm reading as well. It's just YouTube : and 2 slashes.
Okay. So what do you do with my video? Okay. I'm going to use this. Okay. The link that was in the example was channel. Was it channel ID? That's the channel ID. Okay. So if I have this, oh man, if that works, I'm going to be so excited. Okay. So I think at least I'm following the example that I'm getting here from this very reliable source on Stack Overflow. All right, let's give that a try. Gee, that would be so cool. Let me redo this. So now the app link. Okay, so nothing happened when I do it here, which kind of makes sense because I'm not on my device. But what if I try it on my actual device? Oh no, is my battery dying? No, I'm good. Okay, I'm going to use, by the way, for those who are not familiar, I'm using the Expo Go app on my device. You can scan that QR code and then you can see it live in your physical iPhone or Android phone. Okay, so now this is my app. I'm going to click the first link at the top. Oh no, that doesn't work. Okay, well, that doesn't work. And as it doesn't work, I'm now vaguely remembering that I think the feature technically is fine, but I think we have to allow. I remember a conversation I was with Peter a while ago. I think we have to allow some of those schemes. So I'm not sure they will work by default. So we might have to do a little bit of work on our end to just make sure we allow them. So I'll get back to you on that. I'll ping Peter about that again. If that's the case, then when we do allow those, you should be able to just open directly the YouTube app from that link. All right, that's enough of this. It was a long answer. John in the comment mentioned that yes, there are some custom component that you can use, so that might also be an easier way to go about it. I was just curious to explore the slightly more built-in ways to handle it. So feel free to have a look at that link as well.
I think he added one more comment at the end. George, you might want to take a look there, saying he can add VND at the end. Have you tried that, John? Does that work on your end?
Add VND. I don't know what that VND is, and I'm a little bit worried to try it out. Is that what the people responded? reopen maybe not switch. Yeah, I'm not. I don't know. I feel comfortable trying the YouTube scheme. I feel less confident trying out a scheme that I don't recognize. But anyway, I bet that even if we were to try this one, we'll run into the same issue of like not having enabled honestly those
Right.
schemes. So that should be, we should end up in the same position. But anyway, interesting. That was a fun exploration. Thank you. Where was the question? Thank you, Johan. We're gonna share that with you in the community site after the fact, and hopefully that helps you out. Okay. Moving on. How long do we have? 10 minutes. Okay. So we did this one. Issue is preview mode. Oh, this one is resolved. Issue is image background in simple way. Oh, this one is also resolved. There was an issue in one of our starter app. So thanks, John, for pointing that out. I think Brian fixed it, if I'm remembering it correctly. This one is resolved. Wow, resolved. Put a print button on one of my page. Ah, that's an interesting one. Did you already answer that?
I think this one we answered
Oh,
in our previous live stream.
I missed that. Okay, all right, cool. Well, I guess we're getting now in the last office hour territory, so we're probably done with all the question we had. Oh wait, is this one? This one just popped up. Let's see. Oh, Sacred's taking some time. Okay, what's this one? I'm getting an error when attempted to fetch a fetching first document. See screenshot. Oh yeah. So I was chatting with sorry, what was Anthony, I believe, in like private DM before, and he was running into an issue where he had a Firebase collection set up at the screen level, and then in the screen he was trying to get information about a specific document in the collection, and obviously you still have to iterate through all the document collection if you want in the drop down to see a specific element in a document. So that was his issue number one, if I remember correctly. This seems different though, because my recommendation for the first issue was, you can either like put them through a list or have a Firebase document by itself to get just one specific document. So it sounds like that's what it did. He added a Firebase document on his home screen. It's using the collection, and the document ID is user ID. And what's the error? I can't quite see there. I don't know if you're around, Anthony, but if you have the detail of that error, code invalid, that would be helpful, because I can't read it, so I can't really. It's kind of hard to debug. So, oh, here's Anthony. Okay, cannot be called with an empty path. Okay, that's interesting. I would obviously have to look at the app a little bit more in detail, but my first intuition would be that maybe the user ID is empty. And so it's trying to get a specific document with a specific value, but the value hasn't been maybe defined or not defined properly yet. So my next question to check that hunch would be, what's user underscore ID in your application? Is that global variable? Where are you getting that from? Where are you setting it up?
Right.
And the correct answer to that should be, by correct, I mean the way to make it work, it should be see if I can show it in Firebase. See if I have an example available. It's a device variable. Okay, that's okay. But is it of the type, let me try to find an example. So it should essentially be this, whatever that string is in your Firebase Firestore database. Correct, I think. So if you have this, and you say you do, Um, where is it again? Here. If you have this set up, then I can't think of any other reason why you would get this. It's a device variable.
So the
Hmm.
return would be an object, right? So once you're returning it, so whatever value it will return would be an object. So are you like extracting the keys from it to show in your components, or I'm not sure again, like because I haven't looked at the app.
Say that again, Raul. I'm not sure I understood what you meant.
So what this fetch call will return is a post, right? Is a document in your Firebase collection. So that document is returned as an object, right? So when you are returning the object back, we cannot display the object straight on the screen. We would have to extract the key, like say for example that object contains a name, an email address, and something. So in your components, like in your text component, when you're trying to display it, you won't display the object, but the key from that object, right? So it would be the name that would be displayed. Again, that's just a hunch that I had in my head, so I'm not sure what the structure looks like.
Yeah, it's possible that those one of those component is trying to access something that doesn't exist. Given the error, I feel like the issue is more on the retrieving the data because
Yeah.
it's on the collection reference.doc cannot be called with an empty path. That makes me feel like it's at the retrieving level.
Mhm.
Um, but it's a good thing. It's a good thing to point out. There's another comment. So John said what I pointed out in Firebase is not the user ID. So uh, yes and no, meaning it's not the user ID of your Firebase user per se. It is what should be used here as that variable called user ID if you want to access that document. Hopefully that clarifies things. So it's not necessarily, maybe it is, but it's not necessarily the ID of your user in authentication. But regardless, it should be whatever is in that variable here, which you call user ID. That's why I thought I meant user ID. If you want to get the content here, so that's the clarification. Um, and Aman is asking. Well, actually, Anthony said something. It's actually something I set up when doing Firebase auth. So yeah, I would. There's, my intuition again would be there's probably something wrong with that. What you can do honestly is display it on the screen. So right below home, just put a little text um, component and display the user ID. So and maybe like hide the rest for now, so you can see like what is it. Because if it doesn't directly come from the device variable, if it's been going through an auth flow, it might have been set up to something incorrectly. Or maybe just a different formats or whatever it is. Just make sure that's in the right format. Yeah. Give those a try. Those that I know it's not a solution, but give those pointers a try. And if you're still blocked, reach out and one of us will take a look at your app and try to do essentially what we just asked you to try, which is like see what the user ID is like and what might be going on. All right. We are almost at time. I think that's a good place to stop. So just a quick reminder, Carl, Ankit, we are working on those two issues. Well, not this one, sorry, but wherever the Expo thing not working, as well as the comment ID from Carl. So those two issues we're working on, and John also the toggle button we're looking into. So those are issues that we're not able to unblock you here, but those are like bugs we're gonna go ahead and fix. All right. With that said, were there any other questions I missed here? No, I think we're good. Anything else you want to add, Rahul?
No, I think we basically covered a lot of the problems that were on the community. And for those who we haven't fixed right now, We are working on it, and as soon as we get a resolution, I will personally respond to your post and let you know that the resolution is there. And again, sorry for the inconvenience that this has caused you. But a lot of these errors going in the future will be fixed by itself once we update to Expo 43. And yeah, keep your questions coming. We love resolving them. And please keep building with Draftbit and enjoy it.
All right, and we're off next week, so no office hours. I was going to call it a happy hour. It isn't a happy hour, but no office hours next week for us. It's holiday in the US, so most of our team is off. But we will be back the week after. All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye.